Tell a friend we're in real life soon. What's up there? Show for the show. All right. Let's get ready for a show. Tell a friend we're live soon, everyone. Friday today. All right, guys, let's do this. Let's change over. 2, 4, 3, and go now. There you go. Look at that timing. Big up, everyone. Welcome to the Black Panthers broadcast. This is your show. That's right. This is your show. Let's get the show underway as we normally do. So press that to get rid of that, and then press that to put that to the stage. And look at that speed. Get that out of the way. Welcome to the 281st episode. That's right. That's 281 attempts at creating a space for the Black community to come together to find solutions and to be constructive over digital airways streaming. And and you guys are part of the process. So it's always good. You can always listen in the future, listen live. It's up to you guys. Here we go. So we've got a fantastic show today. So let's see. Let's start as we always start. So let me get my fantastic PDF document. Where's that? There it is. So don't forget to tell a friend we're live. Let's go. So all right. So this show might be So normally, as the shows go, we give like an hour, and then if people jump on, we might go to 2 hours, maybe more. But we'll see. Maybe this show will be short. Might be half an hour. Might be an hour, depending on what people want. But we'll see. All right. Now I had to update this last week because I was typing errors all over it. There we go. So we always start the show by talking about retroactive expectations are constructive activities that the Black community are designed to uphold collectively. I'm reading that like a madman. Retroactive expectations are the constructive activities the Black community are designed to uphold to collectively recover from atrocities from the past. Look at that. Very nice. And that is to remember the atrocities inflicted upon the ancestors and community in the past and present and behave in the ways that reflects this. That's right. Connect with Black people locally and globally and form networks and teach each other about different cultures. That's right. And then repair the Black community of historical trauma that causes self-hate challenges and health issues. And then rebuild the Black community, Black economics, and Black nations. That's right. So that is what we call the retroactive expectation. And in order to do that, we promote a lifestyle known as Black Betterment. That is a lifestyle of Black people continuously helping Black people. That is the solution, you see. There you go. All right, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Very good. Oh, there you go. So, where we do? Where we are now? We're at the. Sorry, can't remember. People always want to jump in and talk, or even type and talk. And leave messages. But when you do, if you can remember the 4D values, which are discipline, dedication, dignity, and discernment, that makes finding solutions slightly more easier, especially when you're dealing with the Black community. Don't trigger any past anxieties. So that's what you do. Discipline, dignity, dedication, and discernment. That's right. That's what you do. That is what you do. There you go. All right. Also, if you cannot use any derogatory language, unless you're doing case studies, we listen to videos and stuff, but generally try to use descriptive language and not derogatory language if possible. That also makes helping very much easier. Yes, it does. Don't forget to tell a friend we're live if you want to have your opinions jumped in. So the new Black Panthers, racism repair versus racial repair. We'll examine the situation in America involving individuals who claim affiliation with Black Panthers in efforts to protect immigrants and consider how distinguishing between racism repair and racial repair can strengthen intentions, accountability, and purpose. It's quite a long amount of stuff there. So basically there's in America at the moment there's a guy or a group, I guess, and they were walking around dressed as Black Panthers and saying they want to protect. There's issues going on where the American government are trying to get what they claim to be illegal immigrants out the country. So they've got an agency called ICE that's going around and it's trying to take them out. And unfortunately, a few innocent people have been killed, and you know, and so it's not good really. But there has been a so-called Black Panther member who was speaking against and saying that he or they are going to try to stop. But this caused some kind of knock-on effect with people questioning who the person was and whether the Black Panther should be doing that kind of. So we can unpack that as a conversation. We can do that. But let's just keep up the speed with that, I guess. Normally, when we start the show, we might look at some other. Have I got any other videos? There was. I did actually find we'll talk about it afterwards as well. But we haven't really covered the whole Somali discrimination thing, again, which I guess is connected to ICE again as well. Similar. Um, not really discussed that, but it'd be good to talk to Somali community members about the open bigotry that a lot of the media are practicing over in the states, and just to get their feedback on it, you know, and also, you know, it has their views changed since they're like there was a few Somali brothers and sisters in the states who they were actually very pro-Trump. It looks like Trump has been saying some things that is quite derogatory, to be honest. Uh, and and it's yeah, I don't think I've heard any kind of president be that this outside of that private recordings, of course, right? Because black African Americans and black people generally get racist, but you hear that like recordings, you know, after the fact, a secret recording, but just publicly on radio or on TV, just discriminating against a particular ethnic group. But the Somali people, yeah, have gone for it, and it would be interesting because a very good talk about identity, ethnicity, and if they had foreseen this, and have they ever seen this happen to any other ethnic groups, and you know how to deal with it really. But I guess the main issue now is them potentially being kicked out of America. So that it'd be good to talk to the Somali community about that whole stuff and really unpack that. But we I've got a video, but we won't watch that. We might watch it afterwards, though. But let us start as how we always start with. Let's start with the Black Panther topic. So let's see if we can find out this guy. Hopefully, this video isn't too quiet. Let's see if I find. Oh, here we go. Dun, 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 everybody one, and I think it's this one. Let's see this. Might be a bit quiet. Let's see if it's loud enough. Hope it is.
Run up on me. I guarantee you they won't. I'll put a hole in their chest the size of a window. Safe line repair, safe line replace. That's what's gonna happen. They touch me. Unarmed was killed by ICE. If you think you about to come and brutalize the people while we're standing here, fuck around and find out.
Sorry about the language. So if it's quiet, let us know. Big up Dandeed. Big up everyone in place. So we're listening to a gentleman who says he's the Black Panther, but we're looking at who he was and we're going to unpack it. The main issue I'm doing from this is I'm using this as a way to segue into a concept or a framework known as racism and racial repairer. It's very important because when you understand this between the two, then you won't get confused because you actually understand what someone is trying to do. But let's carry on listening.
Our interactions with the police and ICE, and we hold them accountable. We hold them accountable. We patrol the community and we hold them accountable. The Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, we're the same Panther Party from back in the day, but
I don't think they are. I think he was just saying that.
we're a little more aggressive now. You did
It might be. I don't know about that one.
carry bigger guns.
Over the past few weeks, one name has been popping up all over social media: Paul Birdsong, a man who now claims to be the chairman of the Black Panther Party in Philadelphia. He's gone viral for confronting ICE, using revolutionary language, and positioning himself as a radical voice for resistance. But as more people started digging into his background, a question kept popping up again and again: who is Paul Birdsong, really? Because according to public footage, social media posts, and past appearances, this isn't the first identity he's publicly embraced, not even close. Today, Paul Birdsong presents himself as a black revolutionary, a political organizer, and the chairman of the Black Panther Party chapter in Philadelphia. In recent protests and interviews, he speaks with militant rhetoric, anti ICE and anti police messaging, and revolutionary frames rooted in black liberation language. This version of Birdsong is the one most people are seeing now, especially after his videos went viral. But to understand why so many people are skeptical, you have to look
Yeah, brother Dominic in the house.
backward. Before the protest, before the Panther branding, Paul Birdsong appeared online in a very different role.
This is him maybe within 10 years ago.
In older footage, he could be seen preaching like a pastor, wearing Malcolm X style bow ties, delivering motivational or revolutionary themed sermons, and also rapping conscious revolutionary themed music. This era portrayed him
Interesting. So I'm gonna unpack like how he's come, but he's in a there's like a music shop, probably owned by this European lady, white lady, sorry, and yeah, I think they're saying rapping conscious and talking. I guess maybe Malcolm X, and that was his inspiration. I'm assuming,
as a spiritual revolutionary,
or maybe Malcolm X mixed with Martin Luther King. Who knows? That might be the thing, and a rapper.
blending activism, religion, and hip hop.
But yeah, there you go. So pretty much.
There's nothing inherently wrong with that, but it's
I think it's looking like this gentleman is at some point trying to get, obviously, everyone is to an extent trying to get attention, and maybe these are the ways they're doing it. I'm not saying that the attention is for a good thing. It's just it's the way these things come out. That might be the main priority goal.
important because it establishes a pattern of adopting powerful identities.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like adopt it, and we can't try and unpack that as in like one of the best strategies is to try to start something new rather than take from someone else, because other people, because it comes down to trust, where it's like some companies they've built trust through their actions, and if you just come on and take it, then you be taking their trust, and that might be a bit of an issue because you haven't actually proven you've done the legwork.
Tied to leadership, authority, and movement building. And this wouldn't be the last time. After that phase, Birdsong publicly presented himself in a drastically different way. In posts and videos that are still circulating, he claimed affiliation with the Piru Bloods, a well known street gang. However, this is where things get controversial. Multiple individuals claiming blood affiliation themselves publicly rejected Birdsong's claims.
Mm.
They alleged that he was lying about his background, he misrepresented his upbringing, he fabricated stories about his father, and that his behavior was erratic and weird. The phrase many people use is that he was kicked out the car, meaning he was not accepted or recognized as legitimate. He was not official. Now, to be clear, these are allegations made by others, not proven facts about gang membership. But what is factual is that Birdsong publicly claimed identity and was publicly rejected by people within the culture. Shortly after that rejection, that identity disappeared. Another reason people question Birdsong's credibility is the circulation of claims about his criminal background. Paul self-admits he was in prison, yet there is no proof, no prison number, nada. Online researchers have pointed to tickets, more tickets, and public records indicating a sex offense related charge in his past. This video is not here to sensationalize that, but it matters because Birdsong presents himself as a moral authority, a community leader, and a representative of political movements. For many people, the existence of such a record, if accurate, raises serious concerns about transparency and trust. Again, viewers should always verify public records independently. When you zoom out, a pattern becomes hard to ignore. Within roughly a decade, Paul Birdsong has publicly embodied a revolutionary pastor, conscious rapper, acclaimed street gang affiliate, and a Black Panther political leader. Each identity comes with built-in authority, commands attention, and places him at the center of a community or a movement. And each identity eventually collapses or is abandoned, followed by another reinvention. This is why so many people are divided
Funny, I just go speak his corner, and 90% of people go there debating some kind of faith or religious group. I remember there were some people that will go there, and one day there'll be like one particular faith, very strong. They'll dress like the faith, and then you might see them and they might disappear for a week and come back, and they shave all the hair off and they're a different faith, or they've grown a beard and they're a different faith, or they're wearing a completely different garments, and it's like there was one guy. I don't know, there's psychological challenges, maybe, of course, but there was one guy. I counted three distinct faith changes, and then he reverted back to one of the first ones. And but with the change, he literally embodied the dressing, the speaking, the culture, and all that, and then completely demonized the ones afterwards. I'm not saying this gentleman is doing that. I don't know. I understand what this video is trying to insinuate.
on how to interpret him. There are two dominant ways people interpret Paul Birdsong. Interpretation one, agent of chaos, provocateur. I hear a lot of people use the term COINTELPRO and plant. Some believe he intentionally stirs up controversy, adopts movements for attention, and destabilizes spaces without accountability. A smaller group even speculate about informant or provocateur behavior, though there is no proof of that, only suspicion. Interpretation 2, identity crisis. Others believe he's searching for a belonging, drawn to powerful identities, reinventing him.
In this case, it could be the case. That's why I say one of the best things you can do is establish your purpose, your goal, and then try to set something for yourself. You know. But we're listening to who this gentleman is, but I'm just gonna use to unpack what the topic's about, and why he might, I guess, not want to do that, because I guess, yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Himself repeatedly in an attempt to find purpose, recognition, or meaning. Under this view, Birdsong isn't malicious, just lost. So what is Paul Birdsong? Who is he? A revolutionary?
For those joining, we're looking at a gentleman who just came very in recent times, claiming to be a Black Panther head man, center guy, I guess, and it just came quite quickly here, and he's been, a lot of viral moments and stuff. But people were questioning what's his background. Is he part of the Panthers? And also it was the things he was saying about inclusivity and fighting for immigrants and this kind of stuff. So it's just people wanted his background, but I've got a way to unpack it after the video.
A grifter? A racketeer? Or someone still trying to figure out who he is? The facts show multiple public identities, dramatic reinventions, and ongoing controversy. The motive, however, is still up for debate. And that's where I'll leave it. If you see Birdsong's recent videos, drop your thoughts in the comments.
Let me stop it there. So let remove that. He's been gone for a few weeks or days, and because there's been a lot of kickback and a lot of people who are connected to the original Panthers making videos, he made this video. I found out this one. So those who don't know, this is let's find him. Yeah, this one. Right.
All powerful people.
So I don't know who these gentlemen behind him are. Maybe they're part of the crew. Maybe he friends of them.
Everyone knows I'm Paul Birdsong. I got a message from Aaron.
He said everyone knows I'm Paul Birdsong.
Dixon today saying that he no longer supports us. That after he gave me orders to make a video saying that him and other members were coming, that he withdrew his support. And that he said that this situation is unimportant to him, even though my comrades have risked their lives and spent thousands of hours of their time and dollars and life standing behind a cause. He said he's going to make a statement saying no one has the right to call himself a Black Panther going forward. I told him to make sure that he put in that statement that he did in fact give us the right to call ourselves that, because I still have the messages where he did, just in case he doesn't. And I put in there also, make sure that you put in there that Emory Douglas did give us the right to wear that emblem, because I still have the messages where that happened too. But as it stands, because of that, because of me and my comrades risking our lives and all the heat that we went under, because of the counter-revolutionary practices, because we don't believe in black nationalism, like Bobby
He says he doesn't believe in black nationalism.
Seal said in the video that I shared on my page earlier, that black nationalism is acquiesce to racism, and that we don't stand like that we're internationalists and intercommunalists, just like Huey Newton said. We will no longer identify with this flag. We will no longer identify ourselves as the Black Panther Party for.
That's interesting. So he's against black nationalism. So for those who know, black nationalism is a nationalist movement which seeks representation for black people as a distinct national identity, especially racialized colonial and post-colonial societies. Its early, I'm not going to read it, but its earliest proponents saw its way advocate for democratic representation and cultural process. It's a lot, yeah. But let me give you a link. So yeah, so basically, black nationalism is just black people, who seek representation for black people and as a distinct identity, a national identity that this is the black group, right? Black nationalism reflects the idea that in racialized societies, people of diverse African descent are often treated as a single racial, ethnic, cultural group, such as African Americans, Black Britons in the UK, because of a shared history of oppression and distinct culture shaped by that history. Black nationalism argues that black people in the diaspora therefore form a distinct nation or multiple distinct nations, and so have the right to representation and self-governance. Black nationalists therefore seek to acquire political and economic power to improve quality of life freedoms for black people collectively. So yeah, so he says he sees it as racism, which is, once again, when you start saying those kind of terms, it shows you that you might not have studied some of what happened before, and but interesting. But then let's see what's happening.
Self-defense. We're going to take OG from the town's advice. We're going to take the name that he decided to put out there. We're going to call ourselves the Black Lion Party for International Solidarity. Reason for the international solidarity is because we will stand with the immigrants. We will stand with the people being terrorized for ICE. We will stand with any oppressed people across the world. We will keep feeding every single day, keep offering food every single day. We will keep patrolling the community with guns. We will keep stopping drug dealers, keep stopping sex traffickers. We will keep stopping police brutality. This little plaque that I got, it says Paul Birdsong, and as a Panther says since 2020. I don't regret the work that I've done because it brought me to this point. But going forward, these Panther patches will no longer be on my uniforms.
It's very performative.
Me and my comrades stand independent. We're willing to work with any organization that stands for the rights of every living person. Any organization that stands against imperialism, attacking immigrants. Now, if you're out here raping people and killing people and selling drugs and different stuff like that, deport them. But those people out there that are just working hard, trying to provide for their families, trying to escape the guerrilla warfare and the cartel warfare that's happening in their country, to come for that promise of the American dream.
They're joined by Pan in the Mr. Pat, Brother Pan in the group. Like I said, every time Pan jumps on, we always have to ask the people if they want to hear him. He's regular, so if you guys want Pan to jump on at some point, say yes. But if not, he won't. But let's carry on.
The United States of America Incorporated lies about, we feel that they shouldn't be bothered, and we're willing to stand beside them to ensure that they're not. All power to the people.
All power to the people.
Oh, January 31st, you can still come out. We're willing to sit down and talk about solidarity.
Yeah, so this is the thing, this whole solidarity thing and stuff, and not understanding that black nationalism and throwing performative badges on the floor and having these gentlemen, mimic him and stuff. Obviously, this is the age of the internet, age of social media. So everyone's doing what they're doing. But I don't know. I think I don't think he's awareness of what he was doing, as in what he joined. It's very, very alarming to see someone say black nationalism is racism. Black nationalism was a response to racism because black people couldn't get justice, so the idea was to organize. But so I mean, maybe the brother is someone who's jumping from identity to identity because like if he called himself Black Lion for the first time, he might not be on these videos now. Who knows? I think that's a very interesting thing. What else was the other one? There was, I just want to see if there's what What was the other one? There was one other. Was it number 3? What's this?
So,
Oh yeah, you might hear some responses to him. Then I guess. I believe they're making fun of him. Let's hear this guy's standpoint. Oh, you can't open? You can't open.
how come I haven't said anything about those people posing as Panthers? I am the founding director of the Black Panther Party Museum.
So I think this gentleman opened the museum, like Asher.
But one thing the Panthers taught me, no investigation, no right to speak. Now I can talk about the lack of style, the lack of origination, that their new name, the Black Lions, is an animal that does not exist. Much like this man's identity. Since he's cosplayed a rapper, a Pyru blood, and now a Black Panther. All within a few years. But the best response I heard came from Floyd Webb. In his Substack article, Ain't No New Black Panthers. This is a brother who worked with the National Committee to Combat Fascism alongside the Black Panther Party in Chicago. He says every time this country is in a crisis, somebody says the Panthers are back. But we are not watching a resurrection. We are watching mimicry. The original and only Black Panther Party was not an aesthetic. It wasn't outfits, slogans, or militant posture. It was infrastructure built within repression. Look at what happened with those paper Panthers. They took the name and iconography. But where are all the programs? Whose babies did they feed? What medical clinics did they set up? What seniors did they care for? What schools did they set up? Where are their legal defense funds? Since they want to say,
Won't no ICE agent ever run up on me. I guarantee you they won't. I'll put a hole in their chest the size of a window.
they call themselves Black Panthers because their name did the work their organization could not. Instant attention, instant fear, and instant collapse. Then Floyd Webb goes into Huey P. Newton's autobiography, Revolutionary Suicide. He said Huey was not talking about being martyrs for the movement. He was talking about how we survive. That meant having discipline under constant surveillance, keeping up mutual aid despite harassment, educating the community before confrontation. See, some of y'all still think it's a game. But Floyd Webb said visibility without capacity is a funnel for repression. Y'all finna get everybody killed with very little progress. We are not here to perform, trend, or fed. We are here to get free. The Black Panther Party disbanded in 1982. Ain't no new Black Panthers today, tomorrow, or a few years ago. Take the principles and do something original.
Yeah, there you go. So that's how this brother feels. So yeah. I think that sentiment of jumping on and taking other people's work and stuff. But anyway, the reason why I wanted to get rid of it was talking about it is because it segues into how to get rid. So obviously the brother jumped on the thing, he started saying black nationalism is bad, blah 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 blah, that type of stuff. But the thing is, this is why we want to break down the difference between, and we did it 2 weeks ago, I think, but we're going to keep doing it, and that is racism repairers and racial repairs, and understanding what you're trying to do when you go out. That could actually make minimize the confusion. So then we can find a fantastic thing. So yeah, so we start with, there we go, look at that, racial repairers and racism repairs. So a racial repairer, let's go with racism repairs. Racism repairers is a black person who wants to protect black people from racism. And you could extend that to say everyone, right? But we'll go from the context of seeing a black person talk about anti-black racism. So someone who's trying to repair racism, that's their thing. For those people, there is no emphasis on black people doing anything, really. It might even be something like, educating people what racism is, and awareness, and all communities come together to fight this one thing. Well, racial repair is very different. It's recognizing that black people haven't recovered from the atrocities of the past, and you want to recover and fix black people collectively. And you understand that racism is one of the things that needs to be fixed because that is actually affecting black people negatively. So you understand that there's your purpose. You are a racial repairer. You want to fix racism, but you want to fix the collective group. And because of that, you have other ideas and templates connected to that. So you understand the importance of black family, black economics, black health, black wealth, black love, because that's all part of the racial repairing. And obviously, black defense from oppression. Black Panthers would be a good example of black defense. You see, so it all connects like that. You see, so that's why it's important to understand when someone said, when people talk about racism all the time, you go, "Are you a racism repairer? Or are you a racial repairer?" And they go, oh, no, I just want to end racism. I'm not really into that whole black nationalist or pro black or whatever stuff because that's racist in itself. That's another thing. If racism repairers, they might look at ideas of black people coming together as a form of racism, and that's so that's why it's very important to understand too. And I think with this gentleman who jumped on the Black Panthers, don't know his background, the past, his motivation, but I think he definitely is a racism repairer. I don't think he's a racial repairer. I don't really know his background to be fair. But the way he's talking, it does seem like he's it will shock him. That's the stuff that we talk about in here. And don't get me wrong, I think there is a good valor and goodness in trying to help those who need help and stuff. But I think you especially if you use African Americans as a case study, you've got to look at the history of what African Americans have done for others, what others have done for the African Americans, how long, in particular, have African Americans been suffering, and then you got to think, well, the energy is probably best put into trying to fix the challenges of that community. You see, or just as the black community as a whole, right? Just that, that needs to be fixed because there is direct challenges coming for that, and anyone identified as black can go through those challenges, right? And unfortunately, you don't necessarily see a complete kind of connection of people trying to jump in and work with black people like that generally. So that's why it's important that you have institutions, and that's a key point there. Like having institutions that do key things is important, right? So if you have an institution that is to defend black people or to do something for black people, it has been defined. You wouldn't necessarily go to say the no one's asking the anti-Jewish league, what are they called? I forgot what they called that. Are they defending ICE, right? Because that organization was set up for Jewish issues. So it's interesting that that sometimes black things are asked to be the representation of all things, even though black people have the least amount of things, unfortunately. So that's why getting the clarity is important. But then once again, all this is triggered by someone who's probably trying to get in the media for whatever reason, and obviously calling himself a panther might do it if the rapping and the blood stuff wasn't. But I don't know. Obviously, I've actually got an interview of him. We'll listen to a few seconds of him talking. Then if anyone wants to jump on, you can. But then we might end the show. I do have some things to do. We'll pass off on that. We still got some time, I guess. But I think my last video. This is his interview of him. This is more of favorable.
And we are going. What's going on with everybody? It is your boy, Eric, aka Young God, coming to you live in the green dungeon, getting into your real raw rugged. And I say this a lot as I got a special guest. I really do have a special guest on the line. I'll let the brother introduce himself, man. Who do we have here today?
My name is Paul Birdsong. How you doing?
I'm good, man. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. It's ready to get to work, ready to get out there and feed more people, clothe more people, and keep these pigs and these ICE agents in check.
Hey, I say this sometimes, but I'm really excited for this interview, man. So I think I might have said it off camera, but I want to say it on camera for coming through, man. I really appreciate that.
No problem. Power to the people.
Of course. So for the people who are watching this and have no idea who Paul Birdsong is, tell a little bit about yourself.
So I'm from Lansing, Michigan. I grew up being an idiot, who was susceptible to Willie Lynch programming and Monarch programming dealt to me via the prison industrial complex, via my parents being involved in the streets and drugs and different things like that. And, I started running around claiming gangs and getting in trouble, getting locked up. And somewhere in the midst of that, some people who were revolutionary caught my eyes, caught my ears, and I started changing the things I was doing. And as I started changing the things I was doing, I started beefing more with, the world that I was accustomed to. And, I started finding new tribes, new people that that were like myself, that were trying to do something different, and I started protesting, and then I started gathering food and feeding people and holding police accountable, and then one thing led to another, and I ended up in a huge protest, and I ended up becoming a leader of it. I ended up doing some really crazy stuff in Michigan, and then moving to other cities and states doing it, and I got contacted by some cats that were part of a group that was supposed to be inspired by and built by original Panthers. Those original Panthers, I could never really get in touch with them, never really get a hold of them, and so I just kept doing the work. And then Elmer Dixon reached out to me. He's an original Panther, and introduced me to his brother Aaron Dixon, who introduced me to Billy J. Brooks.
All right, let me skip all this. Cool.
Puerto Rican, and like it's really dumb to think that
Let's go
They
back.
got illegal immigrants ain't got nothing to do with us.
ICE just killed an unarmed black father of 2 children in LA. So what that mean? You know what I'm saying? What they'll do to them, they'll do to us. That's nonfiction. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of retarded. I'm gonna use the word retarded because I mean it psychologically slow, remedial, even idiotic to think that ICE is not gonna come after your black ass once they get done with his Dominican ass or his Puerto Rican ass. Like it's really dumb to think that. And then you got JD Vance telling them to go door to door. You think they only gonna knock on doors where they think Hispanic people is at? They're gonna knock on everybody's door. So and if you got a light skinned daughter like me, people think I'm Puerto Rican. I'm not. You know what I'm saying? So it's like if you got a person that look like me, a light skinned black man, let's say Huey Newton's niece, she's one of the people that has spoken out against me, right? Her, right? She light skinned, right? Let's say an ICE agent wants to say, well, you're Puerto Rican or you're Dominican or you're something else. You know what I'm saying? Like, and decides to snatch her ass up. Is it gonna matter then?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, what if one of these dark skinned brothers, what if somebody says they're Haitian or Jamaican, and just decides to take them? You're not supposed to be here, Well, then what? Then does it matter at that point? So, I think that it's kind of remedial to say that what's happening with ICE is not something that affects all of us, and it's not something that we all should be up in arms about. I think I bet the Jewish people used to say that, when Hitler.
I mean, I think I don't know. Is there any incidents of African Americans being? There's definitely incidents of Jamaicans, Haitians, and Hispanics, and that's but I don't know if there's necessarily of African American, and that's another thing. I think that's a big discussion now as well. They're talking about how and that's one thing that people should always remember, that African Americans are citizens from creation of America. So unless they try to implement some new kind of, I don't know how they'll do that. I don't know what they'll do for that, but it's almost at this point impossible for African American to be deported. You're more likely to be deported from England, as in like we've seen UK citizens recently, especially Caribbean, just be deported, right? I don't, I think America is very different, and that's why we always say that with the African Americans, you have to kind of like understand their history, and also let them lead it in certain things because they kind of know, because I've been there. I think some of the challenges that's going between the different ethnic groups, like that's why you need to have sit downs, and some of the groups that the ISIS are trying to get rid of, it's making sure that they were or are completely on the same page as the other black people in the country, so you can have better solidarity. Because if people are not on the same page, then it does make it slightly more harder. You see, it does make it slightly more harder. Because I've got, what's the time? 39. So so if anyone wants to jump in, the link says you feel free to jump in if you want to talk about anything around this topic of we're just talking about, I guess, identity and people jumping on and taking past black empowerment identities and use it to. I'm not saying it's Germans doing that, but to elevate up in the scene. But for me, it's more so clarity on what you're doing. Clarity isn't like, we're a black organization for the betterment of black people. I think that's key, and that was the aha moment that I want to get from this short, sweet show. As in, like, and that's why everywhere I go, I say, my name's Brother Raven. I practice a lifestyle called the Black Betterment. That's black people helping black people on black issues. And it's for black people to work together to find solutions. And then maybe go, who are black people? And I've got whole documents breaking down who are black people, from light to dark to Africa to continental to the pillars. It's all there. And that way it makes it easier to go, here's what we're doing, rather than, someone jumping in and saying certain words. Not saying this gentleman's doing that, saying certain words, and before you know it, he has the marketing visual essence of a past black nationalist or black empowerment group, but yet the front verbiage is about protecting non-black people and black nationalism being bad, and we fight for everyone. Now, I think fight for everyone's a fantastic, super mega good idea, in theory, hypothetically. But when it comes to black people, because black people have always led in those things and got least from it, I think it's okay for black people to sit back and use this time to strategize and improve. Black people don't always have to be in every single kind of issue, right? But there's also nuance to that topic. And no, black Americans cannot be deported. They are indigenous, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. They're from the base, the making of America. The black African Americans that would come to know as African Americans, black Americans, were there. So it's not a good idea to use that as an argument. I think the best thing you can do if you're a black person in the Americas, more so America, is to really get on the same page of constructive, synchronized African Americans. I understand that. Yeah, this guy's changed his name to Black Lion. I don't, which is cool name, it's cool brand name. But then you would wonder why he would have black in there, because people call things what they want, right? Well, at some point just call it lion, or maybe even like albino lion. I don't know, because the whole black thing is, there was a purpose behind it, but yeah, but this is why I think it's important that people understand the importance of purpose and direction. And if black people, if you don't pin things down for hammer and nail, it'll be for everyone, and the mind's for everyone. You won't be able to really utilize it. And like I said, when you mix black people with other people, give it a couple of days, weeks, months, you'll find that black people eventually will lose control of it. And it's just what it is. I'm not saying that, doing good niceness for people, that's something that is kind and generous. But then when you go on a rally call, you're calling all people to do something. There needs to be a bigger discussion about strategy on that, and why you would and when you would, and when you follow, when you lead. But we're in the age of internet, and people just jump in and do what they want because they get attention, and people get attention. Well, I don't know. This guy, well, he's not Arab. Whoever is, I think. Put my glasses on. Canastella. This guy is he was leading what he called the black. I think he's a light-skinned African American. Oh, he might not be African American. He might not be. I don't know. I think he's probably saying this interview, but I'm not listening to it's like 2 hours or so. I'm not listening to that. But yeah, but he ran a group for freedom of all people who are oppressed, apparently, and he's starting with ICE at the moment. The people who ICE are deporting, and yeah, he's this way. But people say that he has obviously a history of changing identities and stuff. So who knows? And the internet is perfect for this kind of stuff if it goes on. But speaking of ICE and stuff, yeah, it would be good for us to talk, because I haven't really covered the Somali bigotry and stuff and deportation. And I really would like to talk to the Somali community, because I think Somali community, like they're one of the few ethnic groups that are very well at sticking together to an extent when they're in the diaspora, and also disassociating from other ethnic groups and stuff. But it'll be good to know what their thoughts are and viewing this, because what is happening to them is like an intense, direct, quick version of what I've seen happen to other black groups. But this one is that it seems to be much more ferocious and ill spirited. Um, so they say he's Afro Latino. Okay, yeah. Well, like I said, black people come in many different dynamics and stuff. But regardless if you're Afro Latino, African American, Afro Jamaican, African, or whatever, um, understanding clarity in the things you're saying, and you said, like if you recognize that there is something as anti-black racism, then that you can have an organization that fixes that. Now, if you say you want to deal with racism, I can understand that, but at a certain point, it, you would have to have other people in at equal weight rather than black people being the face of fighting racism for others, because black people are the face of victims of racism. You see, that's why it's important that black people have institutions for black people, because when you try to do the whole kumbaya thing and then you start being heavily hated or destroyed by other groups, it makes it harder to rally, because you're letting people in who essentially haven't fixed that hatred in their heart before they join, and or the way they might even maneuver once they're in the organization, it won't be for the collective best interest of. I've seen that many times where someone comes in from another group and they start steering the whole trajectory of what the institution's about, and black people seem to benefit least. But that's just, I could tell that story all day. The Somali culture is clan based, and this causes them to stick together in this together. This is their starting point. Yeah, so they're very, very clan based. I've spoken to many Somali brothers and sisters in Speaker's Corner, and there was a few that, because obviously the site with many ethnicities, there's people with different views and stuff. But I did try to tell them, like, listen, there's a history of people mistreating Somali people. So when you see other Africans come together and stuff, and other black people, this is where you want to have representation in that, because that you will be singled out. So it'd be good to talk to some of the brothers and sisters there to see how they're taking that. And yeah, I mean, they had some sister talking about banana and rice, and I think they're trying to mock her as well because she kept peeling. So, even though I do like banana and rice, I don't know what the issue was, but yeah, interesting stuff. So, there, Raven. You know from Speaker's Corner, they don't want to mix with black people. Well, I know, because I was in Speaker's Corner, and there was one gentleman, Somali guy. I used to call him a name. I won't mention the name, but I remember he jumped over like the fence to come over and say, "Listen, Raven, I heard you're here to help all black people, and you mentioned Somalis, and just we Somalis, we are not black." I said, "Well, you call yourself what you want, but the anti-black races sees you as black, and you're based in the UK, and you're registered as black here, so you're always welcome to help out where it is." And then there was a lot of, but and then he would argue for other Somalis about identity, and then they start arguing. But that was important, and that's why here, black's a beautiful word and that stuff, but we have other, we can use other terms. But ultimately, that doesn't matter. What does matter is the motivation behind someone wanting to separate. So if someone just says there's a historical problem to something, or they're not comfortable with words, that's fine. But you might find that within some people, they don't want to be connected to other groups because they don't respect or like other groups. And I did get that in some cases. I have got that. And that these are issues that we can have big community discussions about, and hopefully we can use these as case studies to see why history repeats itself. You see, history repeats itself, and we can use these tokens to demonstrate that. I saw Somalis sliding with the Asians and Arabs to rush Jedi. It was on COE channel. I was there. Yes, there was some few Somali brothers who were trying to attack Jedi. Yeah, I was there. Well, like I said, the Somali community is like no other community. They have many good brothers and sisters, and many who are more connected to other ethnicities. I think because also religion plays a big part in how people identify. So, it happens with other Abrahamic faiths as well, where people will identify through their faith group. and they don't necessarily value, collective shared experiences of oppression via phenotype or via cultural heritage or landmass. Or they do, just outside of black people, I guess. But like I said, the history repeats itself. People, they go into other groups, religious, cultural norms, institutions, whatever, and once they start being associated, once people start, when they start seeing them as black or seeing them as African or whatever, then they start seeing the hierarchy. And I think when we were in Speakers Corner, we were doing the whole I think, is it Tunisia? Sorry, not Tunisia, Libya. Libya, where we went for the Libya marches where they were enslaving black people from West, Central, East, Africa, and you would see Ethiopian, Somali, Mali, Nigeria, Congo, and yeah. So you can say you don't identify as this, that, and the third, but if the oppressors who have power do, you're going to feel it. And this is some of the sciences that we're dealing with for Black Batman, understanding that concept. Very important concept to understand. A lot of them feel that way, at least. They see themselves separate from sub-Saharan. That is right. They break people things down to Cushitic and Bantu and Nilotic. Maybe they include Nilotic. I don't know. And that's all fine. People can have, I'm very pragmatic in where I approach things. Like, you can have multiple different words for someone, and you can say, I'm this ethnicity, I'm that ethnicity, I'm this bone structure, I'm this language group. But ultimately, there is a greater grouping, and Black Betterment allows everyone in that greater grouping to work together. Now, if you don't wish to, then you are practicing a form of tribalism, which is something we're trying to actually fix, you see. Once again, many brothers and sisters, it isn't just one particular group. There's many groups who have challenges and stuff, but we're focusing on Somalia because it's what we see witnessing in America. It's actually quite extreme with the whole ICE stuff, and even though the president of America says, look, many shocking things daily, it is quite direct to just make fun of a group's ethnicity, their country, and it allows other politicians and news outlets to just mock. And I've been seeing it. And one thing, you don't jump on the bandwagon. Anti-black racism, anti-African sentiment. Remember, Black Berman deals with anti-black racism and anti-African sentiment intertwined with each other. And when we see those things, we use it as a time to go, okay, we said it was going to happen. Now we can reevaluate what's happening and find solutions. But lucky for the brothers and sisters of the Somali background, we really have all the tools, because we knew it was going to come. It's like I said, I saw a saying from, I think his name is Professor Black Truth. Very good socialist stuff, very controversial, well-spoken brother from the States. And he says, you can work against black people, but the white supremacists break their tools when they finish with it. So it's something that you should really remember. That was a good quote, I remember. So I think he came out, but if it didn't, whoever did, big up that one. I've been to Somalia, and many of them are my color. Yeah. I mean, if you're in a certain part of Africa, you pretty much have the same shade. But yeah. But we're gonna. I had this video. I don't know. Let me put this over it. We'll play before we go. Oh, it's almost out, so I can end the show. Let me play this. Where's that thing gone, man? Hold on. Oh, what's it gone? Did I get rid of it already? What is it? No, it's here. Yeah, I'll use that fair use channel. Yeah, I'll put this up. Hopefully, I haven't blackified this video, so Channel 4 might strike the thing. Hope it doesn't. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, police is a.
I hope, like, if I put this up like that, does it change the video thing? Hold on. Probably not.
Battleground, and Somalis are at its center.
You okay? No, he's not okay. He's not okay. What happened?
We're to talk to a group of Somali brothers about this. Maybe I'm being very busy, so to organize things takes long for me. But if anyone comes across, it'd be good to do the show. But
the moment you visibly look like Somali, that is when the harassment starts.
The president has unleashed an onslaught against them.
We're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country.
Now, the most famous
The lady was sprayed upon. I don't know what it was at the conference.
Somali American has been attacked, and many Somalis are too scared to leave the house for fear of ICE and far-right hatred.
We should not be shocked when you report a population whose primary occupation is pirate.
So they say she's married to a white man. Yeah. I mean, like I said, black men, we do understand that, you know, it's very important for black men to marry black women and vice versa. To be around is part of the complete practice of black men, but we understand that some don't. But we do say that when you don't and these things happen, it should hit differently, where, you know, you're marrying into a society, a culture group that unfortunately, from a collective standpoint, might not necessarily respect you.
Like they think like we don't belong here.
That's what they think. Yep.
They think that we're nothing.
Yep. They will think that. They will think that.
The community is standing up to the government, and they might have just turned.
And that's when you're married into another society, and especially the fact that's where that hits extra hard, when you're married into that, and then you realize that, damn, I mean, they're spraying this gentleman with some kind of spray.
Tied against ICE.
I do think that we will reassume our regular life as regular Minnesotans who are just ethnically Somali.
But no one knows when that will be.
We've got one peace flag.
Where are they?
Welcome to the front line of neighborhood.
So, John, we're talking about racism repair versus racial repair. Why it's important that you know, when you're trying to fix something, you establish that you're trying to fix collectively black people rather than racism, and that way you have more of a purpose and consistency. And we've moved on to maybe another topic that we want to cover next week, and that is talking to Somali brothers and sisters about the recent bigotry that they're going through, and seeing a discussion about how it could be how we can work together to fix it, but also the history of what got it here and how we can really try to mend it.
Resistance.
Oh, this one?
And also identity. Like, you don't force people to say they're black, they're African, or whatever it is. But the more area I'm interested in is how do you unite with other people who go for a similar thing, and this form of oppression could be the bond, and that's key, because many ethnic groups and African groups and diaspora groups, they spend many years saying why people are different. But I think it's what makes people similar that's key, especially when it comes to consistent oppressive behavior by the most powerful people in the world.
I'm with Khalid Mohammed, a Somali American activist who spends his days chasing after ICE to protect his community.
Be careful, you guys. Be careful. Give it enough time.
Despite 2 people being killed by federal agents, minus 20-degree temperatures, these Minneapolis residents.
If I was being targeted like that in the UK, I'll just leave. Individual racism is one thing, but when the government wants you out, that's time for you to leave. Well, yeah, I mean, the thing with America, though, is like, whoever's in power, you could get a shift in politics. And that's what they're saying. Not voting for someone means you are voting for someone. But that's exactly what, I mean, that's another thing to unpack as well. With some of the more so white Cubans, I guess, and some of the Hispanic people, some of the Somali community, there was a reason why a whole lot of them voted for Trump. And, you know, this is, it'll be interesting to understand that. Did you think that he wouldn't do that? Did you think that the mistreatment him and his crew were doing to others from a vocal standpoint would not fall onto you? And that's always important to talk. The Somali community in the diaspora needs to reach out to other black communities. Yeah, I think it'll be good for, if I was still going to Speaker's Corner, because they had something they called, the irony is we had something called the Our Corner, which all brothers and sisters welcome to, but they actually started something called the Somali I think it was a Somali Corner, I think, but they had issues they wanted to deal with, and they actually asked me to help out, sort out, organize something. So I remember that. So proud to them. But Yeah, it'll be a very good conversation about that. To be honest, the Jews waited too long to leave Germany. As soon as they heard the anti-Semitism coming from the government, they should have all dipped. Yeah, well, let's hope. I doubt. I really hope it doesn't get to that kind of point in America, but. You are seeing some behavioral patterns that's quite shocking. The same thing is about to happen in the UK. They're moving towards far right. I think Europe in general, or just white nations in general, there is a kickback. I think the kickback is to, I think how some of the integration was implemented, uh, and how some white people are feeling dethroned or feeling like they're being, whatever it is, losing something. But to be honest with you, there is no real kind of change you can have in a white population where you ain't gonna trigger a uncertain feeling, because unfortunately there is that element in all white societies, isn't there? And waiting to just lash out seems to be a thing.
Have not stopped guarding their neighborhoods.
ICE, aka the kidnappers, are here.
So they suspect this car is ICE because it has no registration car and the windows are completely black. So they're very sure this is ICE. Some of the guys are also saying this could be a distraction. They might be somewhere else and they want to keep the neighbors here.
So some of us will stay and the rest of you guys.
Hey, bro, yeah, it's getting worse. Racist white people are being more open. Yeah, you're going to see it now. I mean, the fact that the president and his crew, whatever, are speaking so openly, that, and also like the most viewed people on the internet and stuff like that will have anti-black or white supremacist talking points. So just open. I think what's his name, Nick Fuentes, that guy. I think he's very popular, big following on the internet. And the first time people saw him in England is when he went on to, like, we covered that, some white lady show, and there was a whole lot of black people working for this woman, and a lot of black people would go in there to mistreat black people on her show, but she showed her affiliation to white supremacists, and she would never call them out. And that was trying to say about how unified other ethnic groups are, or races are, I should say, when it comes to their perceived collective betterment. That's why black people need to have a similar kind of element when it comes to at least having a black first focus to help recover from past atrocities.
I would ask to patrol the rest.
Nigel Farage might be the next PM, and look at all the racism that has come out of his mouth over the years. People acting like he stopped being. Yeah, he might be, and this is what I'm saying. Like, when it comes to voting and people feeling away, they'll go for it. They're not voting from what is bad for other ethnic groups. They're voting for what they perceive is good for their ethnic group. The locus it is in the UK is a white supremacist show. Yeah, I know that show.
To the neighborhood. ICE is here, as you can see, in this white car.
Khalid has been on the front lines of this protest for several weeks. Last month, ICE targeted the Somali neighborhood of Cedar Riverside, known locally as Little Mogadishu. It's near where Khalid lives.
Are you okay?
No.
He's not okay. He's not okay. What happened? They put his spray his eye.
Tear gas, pepper sprayed, face to face, asked for my documentation. So it has been quite the experience, actually. I never thought that I will be tear gas and pepper sprayed by my own government.
So ICE, as you said, is targeting Somalis.
The moment you visibly look like Somali, that is when the harassment starts.
So being Somali here is a crime.
It's a crime right now under the federal government, yeah.
80,000 Somalis call Minneapolis home. The vast majority are American citizens or legal residents, but they have been targeted viciously by ICE and the U.S. government.
That's over there. So, family, this is normally we do 2 hour show, but it's 1 hour, and then if guests come in 2 hours. But yeah, this might, we're gonna leave that. I've got some things I need to jump onto, but at some point in the year, I might try to really up the show, get more guests in, and get more people and stuff like that. It is quite hard for me to run certain things I'm doing and jump on, but at some point, I'm gonna have to really, get more people involved in that. This is a community show, so I need to get more people in the community stuff. But I'm gonna, unless anyone's gonna jump on any topic, I'm gonna end it here, right? But Maybe we might cover the Somali thing next year. Maybe I dabble. But maybe I might, if I come across any Somali brothers and sisters, I might invite them in. It would be a good discussion to have. That would be a very good discussion to have. If you're Somali here, just feel free to message or whatever. Well, I've got some things to do, so I'm going to go. But you guys have been great. Don't forget, if those who help Black people, you're important, and those who don't, know that you're loved. And Black Betterment to all Black Betterment. I'm going to leave it here, but you guys are great. Don't forget tell a friend to tune next week or in future times. These shows, when if they get taken down or they stop doing it, they're always there to give you some kind of game, some kind of insight. But until next time, everyone, Black Betterment to all Black Betterment. Goodbye, bye.